What's up, friends and family YouTube? Pastor Bob. Well, today I got my DGT in. Actually, I guess it took a couple of months for it to get in because they're on back order. But I finally got it in, and I usually go through all my guitars to make sure everything's up to spec and it looks good. Because when you're paying $1,000 for a guitar, it ought to look good, right? So, I mean, granted, I'm a luthier, right? And I've been building and fixing string instruments for years, since the mid-'80s. And I grew up around guitars my whole life, Friends and family worked for Guild. I mean, I grew up 180 High Street in Wesley, Rhode Island. I used to go down to the Guild factory when I was a kid. So I grew up around them, I mean, it's in my blood. So I inspect things. Let me show you guys some stuff here. Because I've seen all of these reviews, all this and that and that and this, and all they're the best things since Swiss cheese, and everything's perfect. Well, a friend of mine had similar issues, not exactly the same. A couple of things. First off, the frets ain't too bad, but there was a couple of high frets. For common folk who don't have the experience of doing guitar setups, or they're not a luthier, that may be an issue. You can see down here where there was a couple of dings on a couple of the frets. Down here, let me shine some light on it so you can see it. Do you see that pocket right there? They never finished buffing in that pocket right there. I mean, they didn't even get to it. So, the quality control there kind of sucked. I mean, his top was a little bit better than mine. I mean, it looks okay for veneer, but if you look, you see that big... It just looks really off right there. I don't know. And then up here, look on the headstock. Look at these lines that run down through here. Look. Look at the junk down in the hole. That's buffing compound. And you can tell because if you look on the tuners, the machine heads, look. They're just covered with junk. That looks like buffing compound. They never cleaned out. They never went down inside of there and cleaned it out. I mean, and then I was looking at David Grissom's, and I'm sure David Grissom's color on the back, might be a little bit different than this one. Doesn't look right. So, here's the thing. I'm a luthier. I don't have a problem with this. The little issues, I got a mark down there on the top. I mean, it's not something that I can't take care of, right? That I can't fix. I mean, the fretboard looks pretty good. I mean, all in all. I mean, the pickups were okay. One of the covers was sideways. It looked like they were in a rush to make it. It's that kind of stuff, I mean, if you look down in there, you can tell that they didn't, they didn't take their time. You can see that. Because there's a gap down in there. You see the gap? Right there? Where the binding's supposed to meet? You can see it. You can see the bleed over from where they didn't, along the binding edge. So, all that smoke show bullshit that they've been feeding. Look, I've heard of several people that have had issues. Now, some people say, well, you're being nitpicky. Well, when it's your 1,000, you can nitpick the way you want to. And you can accept something the way you want to. Right? Now, I mean, you can look down in there. Look down in that nut right there. That's compound down in there. I mean, it's like David Grissom, you know, he said it took him so many years to do it, and it's got to be perfect. And, you know, I make it so that if I go anywhere, I could pull one off. And it's got... Well, maybe he should get off of his ass and start checking some of these people out. I mean, if this is his name, that's the way I feel about it. Because as a professional musician, I'm sure that he would not be happy if he pulled one off and seen, you know, quality control like that. I'm sure he would not be happy about it. Now, with that being said, it's nothing that I can't fix. It's nothing that I can't take care of. But should I have to? That's the question. You know, that's the question at hand. Now, I'm going to, because I waited a long time to get one. And you say, well, why don't you just send it back? Well, I don't feel like waiting another 2 or 3 months. And I already knew it was probably going to be a good guitar, and I'm going to show you why. Now, David Grissom's guitar is modeled after a 2010 model that he plays all the time, right? Well, let me show you guys something. Here's mine. Now, here's mine. This is a custom build. 2010 with the moon inlays. Moon inlays are absolutely beautiful on this guitar. Okay? This is the real deal Holyfield. Look at that top. Beautiful, huh? I did the artwork on top. I painted everything and laid all of the abalone on here. But is there a difference? That's why, you know, I purchased this guitar. So I don't have to play this one as much. Now, yes, these are Dragon pickups, which there'll be a difference for that. Yes, this is, you know, a hardtail, and that one there is, you know, a trem. I mean, there's a couple of differences, sure. But I love this guitar. You know, I didn't pay, you know, $5,000 for a guitar and not want to love it. I mean, that's just the way it is. But, you know, people say, well, you got to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. And that is true. But I figured if this guitar plays, you know, really well, which I'm sure it's going to when I get done setting it up, then I don't have to worry about, you know, beating up my other guitar. That's really the reason why I bought it. It wasn't because of all that hype. Because, look, that's part of it. And I get it. You know? And Maurice Smith's got to make money. I mean, David Grissom, I'm sure he's getting a little money out of the deal, too. Absolutely. I want to put my name on something if, you know, I wasn't making a little bit of money. But when you say too much, and you talk too much about things, and you know, your expectations are high, and they're snowballing you, you know, that's not good. Especially when somebody like me gets my hands on something that's supposed to be super good. Now, are those flaws workable? Yeah, absolutely. Am I mad? Not really. But I mean, I think attention to detail is more important than, you know, getting these guitars out. I mean, I think that's the thing that people have to think about before they put things into production, you know? I mean, I think it would have been smart to have, you know, a couple 100,000 of these guitars built. Because I'm sure they're probably selling a lot of them. Because pretty much they are a well-built instrument. No doubt. Paul Reed Smith puts a lot of thinking in. You know, his team, you know, I'd have to say they're one of the most exceptional teams. And Cortec, or Cort Guitars, man, they build a lot of guitars for all your top, you know, brands. So they have many years of making guitars. So they do make great guitars. That's not my issue. My issue is, you know, for me, I'm happy. I have no issues with the guitar. And you should say, well, why are you putting it out there? Well, if I don't put it out there, then it just gets snowballed over. Nobody ever finds out about it. And everybody sings Kumbaya. But you got to bring some of the things to attention. I mean, that's just the way it is. You got to bring things to people's attention. So that way, when they get something, they're not all upset. You know? And it just goes to prove the point. You know, I don't know if people are getting guitars that are set up, that are looked over, that are checked, that are, you know, clean. Now, I purchased my guitar through ZZ Sound, which I purchased many, many guitars through them. So it might not be the same as purchasing a guitar through Sweetwater, you know, where they have multiple checks in their stations before they ship out their guitars. So, you know, the extra QC, well, that could be, you know, a part of it. I mean, if you're buying something from Sweetwater, I mean, I have family members that work for Sweetwater. They go through it, right? They make sure that everything is to, you know, manufacturer specs, that it looks good, it's clean, it's operable, and there's no flaws. And if there's anything, they fix it. If it's beyond fixing, then they'll either list it as a B stock, or, you know, they just won't sell the item. And that's the reassurance part of buying something through, you know, Sweetwater. I mean, with them, you could do anything. You could build your guitar however you want. The tuners you want, you know, the frets you want, the knobs you want, the pickups you want. If anything that you want on your guitar, whatever it is, and you're buying it through Sweetwater, they'll build it the way you want. All you have to do is call them up, ask them. So, you know, but when you get into ZZ Sounds, now they offer something that I think is great. You know, they offer a payment plan, you know, whether it be a 3-pay, you know, a 4-pay, a 6-month, or a 12-month pay. And I think they got something with a firm where they'll go out even to 18 months. So, you know, that's a pretty good thing. So you can't expect, you know, one to have the same quality control management as the other. But you can't put that on ZZ Sound either, anyway. So if a manufacturer is building guitars and they're expecting when the person that receives it to go back over it and make sure that they're squared away before they go to the customer, you know, I mean, I don't understand that. You'd think that, you know, all of those things would be taken care of before they left the plant in Indonesia. I mean, that's the way I would think. I mean, based upon all the videos that I've watched, you know, with Mr. Higginbottom, I think that people are in so much of a rush to make the dollar that they're missing steps. And, you know, one thing I know about Paul Reed Smith, when him and his guys built this machine, right? Now, this is a USA built one. Do you get more for your buck? Look, the attention to detail when I received this guitar was impeccable. Now, did I have any issue? Yeah, I had one issue, and it wasn't Paul Reed Smith's fault, and they fixed it. The finish came off the back of the neck. There was a finish issue. It could have been contamination, a contaminated batch. Wasn't his fault, and I didn't blame him for that. They said, send it to us and we'll fix it. And they did, right away. And they refinished the neck. And they went back through my guitar. So I have no problems buying guitars from Paul Reed Smith. I think he builds an exceptional guitar. I think that he has exceptional attention to detail when it comes to the performance of stringed instruments. He's, he's a funny hoot, right? I mean, he's quite the character. From a guy who came from nowhere to where he's at, you gotta give him props. He builds a great guitar. He really does. But you can't really put it on Paul because he's putting this stuff out to, somebody else to build the guitars and to go through the guitars and to make sure that it's set up and they're clean and everything else. So, I don't know where it went wrong to where these issues are here. I could tell you where in the process it happened. But I could tell you the guy at the end of the, the line, he must have been pushing these through because that's plain as day to see those scratches on that headstock and those finish marks. Because it didn't take me but, a minute to see it. And if I could see it, I mean, just glancing at it, I'm sure a customer that's going to get one of these is not going to be happy. But, for me, it doesn't really make a difference because I know how to do this. I do this all the time, It's not a big deal. When you own 120 guitars, it's like it doesn't really matter. You don't have a problem. But I am going to, I want to bring it to you guys' attention that, hey, you need to pay attention to what you're buying. And if there is an issue, don't cover it up. Tell people. Because, the people at Paul Reed Smith, right, they can't fix the problem. And they can't, make sure that some of the steps are not taken to have better care of the guitars before they leave the plant so that they're ready for the customer if no one says anything. It's not just somebody complaining. When you put your name on a headstock, right? And now there's two names, Paul's and David Grissom's, right? Now they helped design, Dave Grissom helped design this McCarty. This is one of the original McCartys. Now, absolutely a phenomenal guitar. I mean, has a 4/8 top on it. I mean, this is a nice guitar. They are not the same. And I didn't want them to be the same. That's not the purpose of this video. But what I'm saying is, even though this had a problem, Paul fixed it. Not a problem. Send it, we'll fix it, send it back to you. Make sure everything's taken care of. That's the great thing about Paul Reed Smith. They'll fix it. Now, could I have done that with this? Absolutely. But, I didn't think that it was that major of an issue on my level of understanding of string instruments to worry about it. It wasn't worth sending it back to them and having them take care of the issues. But if there is an issue, and you do buy one of these DGTs, look, remember, sometimes, it might take somebody a year or two to save up the money to buy one of these. And, that's all they have. That's all they have to save. And this is their dream guitar. And if that's the case, then, the issues need to be addressed. And that's why I'm bringing it up today. Outside of that, I think they did a really good job setting it up. I already expect when I pick up a Paul Reed Smith guitar that it's going to play good. I expect it. Because I own 4 Paul Reed Smith guitars. I own a 30th anniversary. I own this one. I own a SE Standard. I own a 24. And what else do I have? I think in this one here. So, and I generally, it's, they're not bad. And I don't say anything. But because, this is, this is a unique guitar. It's not just any guitar. Dave Grissom took a long time to design and help design, and and build this guitar. And then he went out on a limb and said, okay, well, I want it available to everyone, but it has to meet, high standards and, specifications. If I'm not going to play it, then I don't expect anybody else to play it. Now, I mean, the visualization, is it going to last? Probably not. For me, look, play it. It's, guitars that are played, you can tell. They're loved. Because they're going to have ding marks. They're going to have scratches. People are going to modify them. Right? But when they get the guitar, it should come in the way, they advertise the guitar. Don't overhype things. Because when you start overhype things, this is what happens. Along the way, people are going to say, oh boy. So, I'm just trying to warn you a little bit, And it's not just Paul Reed Smith guitars. Because everybody's guitars can have this happen. But you need to reach out and tell people. They can't fix the problem if they don't know that there's problems happening. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, sometime probably before the end of the year, I'll do a review on it. An overall review after I get done with it. I already knew the upgrades that need to happen. A friend of mine, he said, hey, these are some of the things that you need to look for. So, those are the things that I'm going to change on it myself. As you can see, I took them machine heads out, or tuners if you want to call them that. And when I seen that, buffing compound down in there, I said, man, you couldn't have took a little bit of water on a rag and ran it down through there and then put another cloth down in there. I mean, really. I'll show you. You can see it plain as day down in there. And the nut should be like that. Yeah, so anyway, I hate to be the bearer of, some sad news, but, I just want to show you guys. I want you to know, I want you to understand this does happen. And be aware of it. And bring it to somebody's attention. And by God, if you get something from somebody and you're not happy, send it back. It's as simple as that. And get a different one. And then, and hope they don't package up the same guitar and send the same guitar back to you. Anyways, what do I think of the build quality? Well, outside of, little superficial things and a couple of high frets. Great guitar. Looks wonderful. Can't wait to put it through, the player's test. Now, I'm not a professional player, but I do build guitars. And I have for a very long time. And fixed them for a very long time. So, when people ask me my opinion, which, I mean, to some people it really doesn't matter, I want to give them my best opinion on a guitar. What I think. What do I think? I think Paul Reed Smith builds a great guitar. I think he designs a great guitar. And this, like I said, there's things that are out of his control and out of his staff's control. So you can't blame Paul Reed Smith for the issues that are going on here. This is a quality control issue that slipped by people at the end of the line in Indonesia. And when it got to the United States, if it probably was a bed at Sweetwater, they would have caught this stuff. I can almost guarantee you that. Because they're really good at Sweetwater. Now, I'm not going to say they're perfect either. Because, any business that's selling 1,000 guitars a day. Yeah, 1,000. They might miss things along the way too. But I'm sure they'll pick up on a lot of the things. So they'll minimize the things that are actually wrong by the time it gets to you. Some people, they wouldn't even crow at $1,000. And other people, it might be all of their savings to get that one guitar. So I just think that it's beneficial for me to be able to explain these things to you, be aware of them, inspect your guitar, love it, play it, ding it, bang it, scratch it, whatever. It's your guitar. It's up to you what you want to do. Maybe some of these things won't matter to you, and that's fine too. But for the people that do care about, little things that may end up being wrong when you receive it, this is actually for you. All right, guys, take care. God bless. Have a wonderful day. It's Pastor Bob, and I'm out of here. See ya.